Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop. We are back with you with our world famous fishing report for the Southern Oregon, Northern California region that we call home. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna just jump right into it here. The beautiful Rogue River in spring. It's such a beautiful place to be. Let's talk a little bit about it. So the salmon fly hatch is pretty much wrapped up. Here we are, middle of June, and pretty much wrapped up at this point on the main river. We do see some lingering activity on the Holy Water, so we'll sort of talk about those two sections of the river here together. Yeah, you know, it gets real quiet out there on the main stem this time of year. So we have 2,000 CFS coming out of the dam, which I think is up a tiny bit, but not too bad. So flows are great, but yeah, it gets pretty quiet on the main river. Maybe a few leftover grabbies here and there, but you know, nothing that we'd book a trip for or anything like that. So we're pretty much wrapped up on that. It's been a great guiding season. We got lots of people into some beautiful fish. We've seen some fantastic fish come out of there. Very common for that hatch for us. So a lot of fun. Thank you everyone who came to fish with us. Really a blast. We look forward to next year already. Talk about the Holy Water. Yeah, so this time of year, so we've had some really interesting weather, some crazy rains, crazy thunderstorm, beautiful late rain. And so it's quite nice up there, but that really kind of plays havoc with the hatch a bit. So I would imagine it's sort of dipped around and shut down and come back, and there's probably some bugs left up there. And I would say, you know, you've probably got this on this late end, maybe another week up there where fish are kind of looking up. So it's definitely worth going up there. Always worth going up there, trying different tactics if the big bugs aren't flying around. You know, switching back to streamers, that can be a really good thing to do. Maybe doing a bit of nymphing. But yeah, the Holy Water's probably just got a little bit more time left, and then we're going to be into sort of the summer setup there, which is a lot of midges and streamer fishing, which can be actually quite good up there. So that's what's going on the Upper Rogue and the Holy Water section up there. We'll hop into Stillwater. There's quite a lot of good stuff happening. Stillwater in the region. The standout probably being Diamond Lake as usual. Diamond's been putting out some really nice quality fish, whether you're fishing chironomid style or you're stripping leeches and stuff on intermediate lines. It's been pretty solid. The south end of the lake is always a great place to be for a fly fisher. You've got the mouth of Silent Creek there, and just that kind of nice shallower drop off stuff. So I would definitely be looking at Diamond Lake. It's a bit of a haul for us, but it's not too bad, and the fishing's really great. Klamath Lake, up and down. Had a really great report from Agency Lake going back a couple of days. Standard stuff, you know, streamer fishing, intermediate lines, little leeches and things like that. From Agency Lake, which is kind of the northwest or northeast corner of the lake system there. But not too much from Rocky Point. I imagine there's been some good, some bad, but not too much from Rocky Point. I think most of the boat ramps are open at this point, so you can kind of get in there. But we should be hearing more about Klamath Lake pretty soon here as the lake warms up a bit. We just haven't had a lot of real warm weather, which has just been fantastic. So, but it's going to start happening pretty quick here. And from there, we'll transition right into Wood Williamson. Williamson River has been, again, kind of up and down. We've seen some great fish come out of there. We have definitely talked to folks who have seen fish in there. So good numbers of fish in some of the holes and kind of the obvious places throughout the lower section. Paul, you may or may not know Paul McDonald. We do a lot of work with out there, and he's had a couple really good days and had some really big fish, and also had some slow days. It's early for sure for the Williamson, but it's definitely time to start paying attention to it. It's definitely something to do this time of year. So look for some complex hatches out there, blueing olives, some midgy stuff, maybe some caddis, and then they do get some hex. We're maybe a tiny bit early for that, but we do see those hex June, July. It's not a great place for hex, but you can luck into kind of a cool hatch there. So keep an eye on that. Some years it's more dense than others, so we'll keep you tuned into that. But the Williams, something to look at. Williamson. Same with the wood. Have had kind of scattered reports, but people are going to start looking at that lower end as the fish start to migrate up into that lower end, lower end into Agency Lake there. So that's kind of interesting. We get a good report from Agency. That could mean those fish are staging around the Wood and the Williamson. So that's good to know. So we'll keep you updated there. It's kind of day to day with those rivers, so feel free to call us for any updated info. Northern California is still on its super positive trajectory. Like when I talk about these reports throughout the year, talk about these different places, again, this is the time, from opening day, when some rivers open down there, some are open all year, but from that late April through like the first part of July, there's really no better place to be than a lot of the rivers in Northern California. Again, Upper Sacramento, McCloud, Pitt River, Hat Creek, Fall River. Those are the real standouts, and they're all fishing really good in their own right now. This is the best time of year to experience any hatches down through there, what you might find on the Upper Sacramento, McCloud, Hat Creek, even Pitt might have some hatches. So you want to kind of tag along with some PMDs, some stonefly patterns, some blueing olives, some caddis, all kind of the general suspects, usual suspects, but always falling back on nymphing. It's such a strong territory for nymphing, and my feelings are just that we don't have these really harsh winters here in Northern California, and so you just don't see those fish going really dormant throughout the winter. They're still feeding, so they're just not as frenzied for dry flies and stuff as we see in the Rockies. So those fish, they're so used to eating nymphs, eating subsurface throughout the year, they just continue to do it. So everything's looking great. We had some bit of flow variations with the rain that came through, but we checked all the flows this morning and there's nothing to really talk about. Everything's pretty normal throughout that whole area. So if you're planning on heading down there, we'd love to talk to you about any of those individual places and give you some details on how to approach it. But just know, without going into too much detail, the rivers in Northern California are all fishing quite well, and it's definitely worth being down there. So that's really what we're seeing right now. It is trout time on the West Coast. So get out there, do some trout fishing, do some camping. I know it's a little hard to figure out where to go with what's open and what's not. But there's a lot of good resources out there with Fish and Wildlife in California and Oregon, and they can help direct you to what's open and what's not. There's plenty. There's a good amount of primitive camping out there too. So I believe you can find your way around that. So now is when we start paying attention to summer steelhead. There's been a couple sneaked into the hatchery, and that typically reflects there's a handful of them in the river. We keep an eye on a couple of these early steelhead anglers, and we have seen one fish caught on the swing in the Rogue River section of the Rogue, and so that's a good sign that there's a few around. So we'll start talking about them a little more probably in the next report. So if you got that real thick skin, it's time to get out and poke around and look for a real early fish. Other than that, that's what's up. We're working hard in the shop, and give us a call if you have any feedback for us, or if you want any details about any of these fisheries. We're happy to help. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.